All right, guys. Welcome to the Mix and Spicks Fantasy Football Review, our first one ever. We're trying out something new this year, trying to do a little weekly review and kind of just go over what's going on in the league. So bear with us as we figure this all out, brand new to it. And but we're going to make it fun and try to really make it a thing we do every week just to kind of add a little extra something to the league. So we'll get started. I wanted to do a little around the league, and guys, feel free to chime in. So just a few things. Breaking news today in the NFL. Lucci's boy, Allen Lazard, limited in his return to practice today. So he is inching his way back. His franchise is waiting on this guy. It's holding things up. So Allen Lazard, limited. He did a little walking on the sideline or something along those lines. J.K.
I'll tell you, I watched that game, and the rookie Dubs, Dubs, I think, showed some flashes. So maybe somebody to look at there for Lucci if he's hurting with Lazard. But yeah,
it's the Possums have him, and I don't anticipate putting him on the market until I have some clarity. When you have Christian Kirk, the other rookie that can't seem to catch a perfectly thrown pass, you have to assume that Rodgers is going to start to look Dubs way more and more just because of the trust factor. It's never been about the most talented, or he wouldn't be throwing at Randall Cobb. It's about who has his trust. And I think that Dubs has shown that he's worthy of it, and hopefully he'll be an asset to the Possums going forward.
His name is
Dub. Thank you.
Dubs.
Like a dub sack?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's Dubs.
And Brady's got 5 on it early. So good for him. I forgot he did draft him. I think it's Romeo Dubs.
Yeah.
Romeo.
So
but
when
definitely
Kevin
passed
Love,
the eyeball test. That was a nice draft pick.
Yeah, when Kevin Love becomes a quarterback, it'll be Love to Romeo.
Kevin Love, the NBA basketball player.
Jordan Love, whatever his name.
Next, we got J.K. Dobbins trending towards making his debut this week. He was a full practice participant, looks ready to go. Zach Wilson will be out another week. Not that he would be a fantasy starter, but that does affect the whole Jets offense. They will look at Joe Flacco once again this week. A couple other injuries to run through. Leonard Fournette limited with a hamstring. Chris Godwin did not practice again. He is also dealing with a hamstring.
He's out a couple of weeks at least.
He's probably out. Julio Jones popping up. So this is pretty interesting. The Bucs receiving core across the board dealing with injuries. Julio Jones with a knee, out of practice. Russell Gage does not practice. He has a hamstring. Now Mike Evans tending to a calf issue. So all 4, that includes Chris Godwin. I don't know who is going to play wide receiver for Tampa Bay.
Well, when you consider the cumulative age of that receiving core, I would venture to say it's probably one of the older, other than Godwin. I mean, Evans is no spring chicken, and Julio is obviously old. You throw Brady in there, and they can accompany you to the nursing home.
Very
good. 2 dead teams on Sunday night game. That was a stinker. In a really good day of week 1 football, that was an awful, awful game. But yeah, those teams look like they're both struggle, at least early.
Definitely.
Dallas, I don't know who they're going to have back. Cooper Rush, something like that.
Word through the grapevine is that they are not anticipating adding another QB. And Jerry sounds as though he doesn't think that Dak's going to be going to IR or out for more than maybe 4 weeks. But the initial diagnosis was, a 6-week injury. So whether or not that's Jerry talking Jerry shit or whether there's any truth to it, we'll have to see. But that greatly affects the value of CeeDee Lamb as well as really anybody on that offense,
Zeke and everybody.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz.
Yes, draft tight end. I'm not sure who, but
me.
He's good when you get him the ball, but you got to get him the ball.
Right. I'm already looking other options for Dalton Schultz this week, just without Dak. I think the Cowboys are toast this year with Dak already going down. Couple other quick ones. We'll jump into this week's league. Jameis Winston dealing with back discomfort. So I think he took some shots in that Falcons game, and he is still practicing but limited. Mark Ingram, limited at
That
practice
or those
also.
weird ass workouts he does.
Yeah, that's different.
Too many shots.
Yeah. Michael Gallup, officially limited Wednesday, so he is also inching his way back, but did practice, but in a limited fashion. Mac Jones, who was dealing with a back injury, fully practices. He will be back for the Patriots. Big one for Jordan. Alvin Kamara, limited to start the week. He has a rib injury, and he is doing very little practicing to this point. So something Jordan will have to look at. And then 2 quick more, and we'll get going. Michael Pittman, limited with a quad injury. And DeAndre Swift, that's a big one, dealing with an ankle injury. So hoping for the Packers' sake that Swift does not go, honestly.
Well, the rest of my
Some
team
big
is
names.
hurt.
Big names.
And being hurt would only make sense.
Right. Yeah, that's about right without started for you. All right, so that's a little around the league. We will jump into the scoreboard. So it was an interesting week 1. Some people had a really good week. Some people like me struggled, and we'll try to look at the waiver wire and other options for how to start to turn things around. It's hard not to overreact when your team lays a dud, but you got to tell yourself it's only week 1. There is a lot of games left to play. So Packers, I will say specifically, will look forward to bouncing back. So the first matchup that I'm going to review is the Renegades Gladiators matchup. So the 3-time champ, I'm not going to say too much about that, but our 3-time champ started off his new season with a win against Goddard. There's the ring. We all are aware. So he's starting off good with some success. That's good to see. Just a quick run over his matchup looking at it. It was kind of close. So he did win by 7 points, but 90, not a huge output. I'm sure you know that you'll look to building off of that, but you got the win. That's all that really matters in the end.
Yeah.
But it was a low scoring matchup, 90-83. So the big thing for Goddard really was quarterback play. Matt Stafford, 7.8 points. He struggled terribly against that Buffalo defense. And that was sort of the difference because Lamar Jackson did his thing. 20-point day. Obviously, we've seen him do way more, but who's going to be mad at 20 points? Rocco's first round pick, Joe Mixon, had a nice game, 14.5. I'm sure you'll take that with the way a lot of top running backs started off the season. Goddard just kind of, his backs really didn't get going. Dameon Pierce, terrible first game, 3.9. Ezekiel Elliott, 4.9. Najee Harris, who we saw did score a short receiving touchdown, but if it wasn't for that receiving touchdown, it would have been a really bad week for him. He finished with 8.6, so he did get in the end zone, but he looked a little better at the receiving core. Obviously, Cooper Kupp, everyone saw that on opening night, had a big night. And Mike Evans, the guy just scores touchdowns. This is what he does. He scored again. Waller, 7.9, almost 80 yards. I'm sure he'll look to build off that. Not bad. Jalen Waddle with 13, solid. His defense came up with 5. Whereas Rocket Charlie, he really, Lamar Jackson.
Waddle scored on a very, very nice pass from Tua. By the way,
yeah.
It was a beauty. One of the better highlights of the day, honestly.
Yeah,
Placed perfectly between 2 defenders. You expect to see more of that over the next decade, maybe 15 years if you're lucky. Offense.
Yeah, and a couple others on his matchup. So McLaurin with 11, Kirk with 11. Tight end, I cannot even pronounce that guy's name over there in Denver. I won't even try, but he kind of 3.
Albert O. We call him Albert O. in the
Albert O. Okay, I can remember that one. Buffalo's D did pretty nicely for you with 9. So, pretty good week. I mean, I'm sure, nothing to write home about, but you got away with the W. Goddard will look to bounce back.
Yeah.
1 next week. So any thoughts on your matchup? Anything you want to say?
We feel fortunate to escape with a victory. Definitely middle of the pack performance week 1. Looking to build on it though. The running backs I drafted early, other than Mixon, didn't really do too much. They showed up but that's about it. Worried about Aaron Jones, and the A.J. Dillon situation is already kind of looking like it may have been a reach at the second round where I picked. So passed on Cup, who almost, carried Goddard to a win over me. Luckily, that mistake didn't bite me in the ass immediately week 1. So just feel lucky to have escaped, and Goddard's a proven, playoff contender at this point. So I think we both can do better than that and look to in the future. But anyway,
Right. Awesome.
Yeah. So
And
close game though.
what are you doing? Also, I do want to bring up. Go with Mama real quick. All right, see ya. I'm going to turn it on over because I've done enough talking. So I reviewed that matchup. I'm going to let Rocket Charlie and Nate review the couple more, but it just hit my phone. Breaking news, where I got all that other news. The Miami Dolphins have extended Tua Tagovailoa to a 6-year contract, $500 million, making him the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL. So he is locked up to almost 2030.
Wow.
So that's big news for some of the Dolphins fans in the league. And wow, I'm blown away. And I will, very smart. I will go ahead and turn it over to Nate, who is going to catch us up on 2 other matchups that we had this week.
Well, I will be reviewing the Waxhaw Stink Pickles versus the Return to Glory box score for you. In all honesty, these 2 teams have 2 of the only running backs taken in the first round to really perform up to their draft capital. I would say that between Saquon and JT, they were pretty comparable up to that point. And Burrow and Wilson were, they were right in there, 18, 17.8. But the real difference maker in this matchup were the wide receivers. And the Return to Glory wide receivers are something that is going to be a problem if they continue to perform this way for the rest of the league. Jamar Chase, 19 points, basically. Stephon Diggs, 18.2 points. A.J. Brown, 15.5 points. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, even the Detroit number 1, with 12 points, is a solid showing.
I don't think Hurts passed to anybody but A.J. Brown. He looked incredible on Sunday.
Yeah.
That was somebody I did not have on my board who I wish I had. He looked like he's going to eat this year.
There's always the uncertainty when it comes to Hurts because you can always depend on him as a QB. But when it comes to passing accuracy, that's something that he worked on clearly. But, the Stink Pickles only were able to muster between their top 3 wideouts 20 points with Cortland Sutton, Marquise Brown, and Sammy Watkins. And that was the real difference maker. There was nothing consequential between Mark Andrews and Irv Smith. And A.J. Dillon for the Stink Pickles actually did better than I expected. I'm sure you weren't happy that he was vulturing as many touches as he was from your boy Jones, but
he had more carries, just more carries in the game overall, not even goal line. So
yeah. So the big story in that matchup is,
they say in South Florida, concern.
Yeah, there is definite concern, but that matchup really just came down to the wide receiver play. Going forward, consistent out of the top several players' performances this week, I'm assuming most of them were wide receivers. And given the way our draft transpired with all the, running back talent going in the first round, we all, with the exception of Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, and I guess you were okay with Joe Mixon's performance, but the rest of it was more or less, lackluster. Going forward, I will take a look at the Meth Lab Maulers versus the Woods Peckers box score.
Leave for
former Lee Derwich.
This matchup really, it really was pretty high level with the quarterback play, with Allen edging Hurts out by, 7 points, but still, when you get 25 points from your QB, you can't be upset about it. The biggest storyline of this matchup was the piss poor first round draft pick play because McCaffrey and Eckler didn't even combine for 20 points between both of them. And, you know, that's not what you want to see at this stage of the year.
Mhm.
I know that that will change. And I think that especially the Panthers offense will continue to evolve because McCaffrey is what that offense should revolve around. Whether McAdoo has other plans or not, if he does, he's not going to have a job for very long because you have one of the most, you know, dynamic playmakers in the league. And I didn't see dynamic play calling. Eckler, you know, I think his touches will result in higher points in the weeks to come. But other than that, you know, there was just a couple big performances on the side of the Meth Lab Maulers on the wide receiver side, which I would say is, you know, subject to some volatility going forward. You know, your number one wideout scored 3 points, and your other guys you hit on for now with Judy and Gabe Davis. But with those two not being the number ones on their team, I would say going forward, you really are going to need McCaffrey to perform at a higher level. Unfortunately, Mike lost Elijah Mitchell within like the first, I don't know, not many plays. That's a huge hit. Devontae Adams really was the bright spot on that roster other than Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
He was targeted, I think, 17
Instant
times.
chemistry with Carr.
Yeah, and that's residual from their college days, I'm guessing. But you know, Miles Sanders, solid week. He'll be fucking doing something stupid and getting to the third string before too long. But I'll
Great output for Sanders in whatever round Luke snagged him this year.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that and turn it over to you,
Cool deal.
Rob.
Yeah, just on my matchup. Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. Just real quick, I think Hurts obviously and Adams are my bright spots right now. Some little buyer's remorse with Eckler, and I think that will turn around. Hopefully, I had found myself daydreaming that I had drafted Justin Jefferson in the first round, like I had thought about doing it if my nuts were a little bigger, but I got nervous. I went running back the way our league is. And I think looking at the way it did go, if I had gone receiver, I don't know who my RB1 would have been because I still would have been in that point to take a running back. Sorry, I just had a pop-up come up there to take a running back there in round 2. So I'll look to bounce back, not giving up hope, but
it's week
we
one.
only have 10 minutes left on this video. I got to figure out how I didn't realize that, but it's giving me a countdown. So
Okay.
I'll turn it over to Rocket Charlie for him to review those 2 matchups that he's got.
Yep. Well, I'll be taking a look at Crady and Orf's matchup, the Possums and the Mandingos, respectively. It looks like, you know, the Mandingos pulled it out in a defensive battle, if you want to call it that, another low-scoring matchup like mine and Goddard's. A win is a win, though, right? If you're the great Mandingos, you got to be happy. Henry got obviously work and looked really, really good. Still ended the day with single digit points. Obviously that won't stay the case though, as the season rolls on. You got to think Orf, second year in a row he's rolled with him. So it looks like he's trying to run it back with him for the title this time. He was heading for it last year and looked really good and derailed by that major injury from him. So pairing him with Mahomes was great. You got good production out of Fournette as well. So he looks like he will need those 2 guys to step it up because his, I think, 3rd round pick, Cam Akers, goose egged. Very lucky to get a win when that happens. I'm not sure. I was watching that game. I know he played. I saw him catch like a backward pass and miss some protection. It was just not a encouraging showing for Cam Akers. Heavily hyped guy in this league, our
And
league
I think
especially.
that the likelihood of any running back making it back from an Achilles injury performance-wise is very rare. And for someone to come out and, miss some easy pass pro, that's not really going to help your situation going forward,
Yeah.
but
And the backup Henderson is actually, he's pretty good in pass protection and running the ball. So looking like maybe a steal there for the Possums. Just didn't help him out this week, unfortunately.
who would have thought?
Good output from the bobblehead. Tyler, they got their ass beat by the Chiefs, who was led by Orf's quarterback, Mahomes. Just put on a damn clinic. If anybody wasn't talking about him all season, they are now.
Tyreek doesn't matter that much, I'm supposing, but
yeah. And then Crady, another weird thing with T. Higgins getting the concussion mid-game, probably cost you, some points, which could have made the difference here, and basically what is a one score game.
and Allen
Stevenson getting some more carries next week, hopefully, so that's good. But yeah, Orf 1-0, Crady starting off 0-1 in a tough game. Both teams look to bounce back with some higher output next week. Two proven competitors in the league. We got finally the Giggle Fucks and Herbert's Moore Swift, Brian Martinez. Their matchup was a damn beatdown. Despite Jordan starting and running with Justin Fields, it looks like he's going with the zero quarterback strategy this year, essentially. Drafting a guy that could have been, no disrespect, just not taking a top 10 guy, but and hoping for some growth this year from him, which is fine. Alvin Kamara, a smaller guy. Edwards-Helaire had a good game.
That's the surprising one for me, was Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah. His backup though, Pacheco, did look good when he came in what do you call it, garbage time, and he wears number 10 like Tyreek Hill. It was weird to look at because it looked like Tyreek Hill was out there running the ball, but they look similar. Yeah, Giggle Fucks poured it on. Justin Jefferson looked like the best pick of the draft so far, possibly. If he can do anything like that week to week, that's going to be a record-setting season. Let's just go ahead and chalk him up for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns minimum so far. So good pick there. Kyle Pitts, I don't know, still fantasy fool's gold at this point. The Atlanta offense had 27 points, and Kyle Pitts put up under 2 in fantasy. I didn't watch that game. I'm not sure what happened there, but that's got to be concerning. I'd say that and a little bit of a thinner running back committee could be a trouble for the Giggle Fucks moving forward. But you got to feel good going forward. Looking at Martinez's team, I think it's time to hit the panic button if you're him. Week one already. DeAndre Swift looked very good. I will say that. That was a great pick. Javonte Williams, solid. That Denver offense. Hopefully that's not what that's going to look like all year for them. Justin Herbert is Martinez.
It's a true committee there.
Yeah, dude. Justin Herbert does not check the ball down. That guy's a beast. He really drills it through in the secondary, and it's fun to watch. So, Allen Robinson, we've covered this. What the hell, man? What were you thinking? I don't know who he was listening to, but yeah. DK Metcalf didn't do very good. Gino had a good game though. That was a fun game to watch. More entertaining than the Sunday night game. So yeah, Martinez's team, aside from Herbert, Javonte, and DeAndre Swift, and you can add half a guy for Travis Etienne, looked really good. Under 50 yards rushing, but some things to be excited about, I guess, if you're Martinez going forward. So tough week one though.
Definitely. DeAndre Swift stands out to me in that matchup. He had a big game, and if you look at it, 23 points, but that was with 2 touchdowns vultured by Jamal Williams. So imagine the day that Swift could have actually had in that one.
I think it was 140 all-purpose yards, if I'm correct.
144.
Yeah.
Big game.
Yeah, so that's a serious week for a guy. The only concern with him which is I would honestly give up a couple touchdowns to Jamal Williams if it kept Swift healthy over the course of the year, because he is prone to a little bit of breakage. And
Yeah, fun runner to watch for sure.
Yeah.
Fun runner.
he's aggressive. And aside from that, at least he has James Robinson on the bench. So once he sees how that committee shakes out, he can, ride the more promising hand. But
Yeah, I drafted both
sure.
of those Jacksonville running backs last year. ETN ahead of James Robinson, just like what Martinez did. And, I kind of got lucky in a way that ETN got hurt, because then it was a James Robinson show. I'm sure Martinez is kind of hoping pain and suffering on one of those guys so he can get actual lead back out of it.
yeah,
And I don't know, like,
Benefit
it's
to
a
me.
tough
James
one. They're
Robinson.
both pretty talented. So
Yeah.
honestly, either one, it's like pick your poison. I feel like if one of them gets the all the volume, they'll be like a top 10 back every week.
Definitely. Cool. Well, we got about less than 2 minutes to go. Just looking at next week's matchups real quick, just a quick run through, and then we will be doing our review next week as well. But we have the Packers against Martinez. Big matchup. We're both 0-1, desperately looking for that first win. The Stink Pickles look for their first win against Rocket Charlie and the Renegades. We have the Gladiators against the Possum, another 0-1 teams looking for their first win. So huge week for some of us. Austin against Lucci. Lucci's gotten a little cocky after one win. He's been talking a lot. So Austin will look to shut him up. We'll see. But his team is good. I'm not gonna lie. Lucci has a good team this year. So he deserves to be able to do a little bit of talking. And the Mandingos against the Giggle Fucks, another good matchup, both 1-0. So some great matchups. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to kick off week 2 with some Thursday night football. I think it's Eagles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jalen Hurts.
That Austin,
No, it's Chargers.
Lucci
it's
matchup
the
is
Chargers and the Chiefs.
Yeah. So a lot of
Yeah.
players.
Only available on Amazon Prime.
As a plug.
and there's a double header Monday night. They're actually doing 2 games, I believe. So
Nice.
2 Monday night football games. That'll be awesome. Have to stay up till 2 a.m. But
Great.
the Lucci and Austin matchup will be a good one. Those are, I think, everybody's eyeing as two maybe loaded two most loaded teams right now after week 1, or overreaction. But it'll be a good one. High scoring. Hope take the over.
Once Saquon and CMC get hurt, they'll be bottom of the fucking barrel.
All right. See